This year, a very, very different SONA 2021, not too much fanfare, somehow a subdued SONA, I would say. But at the end of the day, it is the president and it is his prerogative, it is his right to deliver the State of the Nation address.
Yes, indeed. It will be a very somber affair, especially given the reality of what you referred to, the COVID-19 impact. Some of our members have died this previous year as a result of COVID. So that makes it particularly somber. But also many South Africans has passed on. And this is what makes it particularly sad. That we are likely to see, we're hoping these deaths can be contained, that infections can be contained, that we do not have the kind of tragedies that we see happening in our country and elsewhere in the world. It's unacceptable that we are not able to cope with speed to stop the tragedies of this pandemic. It also found us rather unprepared in the sense that some of our intentions to improve the health system, for example, the national health insurance, are only in the starting basis. They are not yet fully operational. So many people, because they do not have access to effective health services, will have been impacted worse than those that you have. Who have bigger pockets in the private sector, and so on. Yeah. So, but we are hoping that the changes that we have called for, that we are hoping the recovery from this, the impact of the lockdown and the COVID-19 itself, will be dealt with effectively in the medium to long term.
Yes. Now, obviously, we've seen President Cyril Ramaphosa since he issued his first State of the Nation address way back when he spoke about a lot of things. They spoke about smart cities. We talk about bullet trains. We spoke about technology. And over the years, a number of issues obviously have been repeated. Things like state-owned enterprises, the issues surrounding the state of the economy, growing the economy, focusing on the youth, focusing on the poor. But obviously, with this year, with the COVID-19 pandemic, it has somewhat changed some of these dynamics, and also in terms of any plans that were in the past, in terms of what the government has had, in terms of strategy. Some of them would have to be reviewed, possibly even revised, until we get to a stage where we can get to some sort of normality as far as this pandemic is concerned.
Well, unfortunately, the experts are telling us we are unlikely to have any normality to write home about, that we are likely to be confronted by more pandemics, that we do have to overhaul the engine even as we drive. In other words, we have to build our health systems even as we fight these pandemics as they emerge. And the conditions of the majority of people have to be improved. And I hope that this is going to be the contents, in a sense, of the State of the Nation address this time around, focusing on the extent to which we are accelerating recovery from the impact of lockdown and COVID-19 impact, that the little, well, not little, but the significant hassles of vaccine acquisition will be overcome quickly enough to make a difference in the many professionals who are in the forefront of, and professionals and workers who are in the forefront of fighting this pandemic. We hope that these kind of issues will take precedent more than any other that we may have spoken about in the past. We have had to reconsider how we work, and the president will take us through in what manner him as a head of state and head of government with his cabinet have come to what conclusions to lead us and improve the quality of life of the majority of people.
What we've seen over the last 11 months or so is we've seen the president a lot on television, and something like 17 addresses already to the nation. And this obviously being the big one, this is a State of the Nation address. And I'm sure some of it will possibly be repeated in terms of what he's been saying in the last 11 months or so. But also at this point in time, the biggest challenge at this point in time is to give the nation hope, because we see the general sentiment that there is a state of helplessness, hopelessness at times as
Mm.
well, and this is a major cause for concern. So it is about some renewed energy in terms of providing some sort of motivation or inspiration to the nation as well. That at the end of the day, there is going to be light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely, you are right. In fact, talking about the number of times the president appeared, and in all of the majority of those instances, he was also not just speaking on behalf of the cabinet, but he was also speaking on behalf of the command council. In other words, the team of medical, social, and economic experts who provided advice on how we should be responding to the pandemic, to keep people alert and aware of the necessity to comply with the efforts that require our individual, neighborhood, and community involvement in fighting the campaign, urging people not to be cynical, that we will face problems he repeatedly mentioned, but that we have to recognize that it is only when all of us do our part, our bid as individuals and as neighborhoods and as communities, to help those who will not be able to cope because of the mental health issues you are raising, that we will be playing an important part. And so we are hoping that government itself will have learned sufficiently in how to work together across their usual boundaries, so that in a coordinated fashion, the president, when he speaks, we are assured as people in the neighborhoods and communities that he does so having been properly advised. And so his views constitute important progress. There might be difficulties, but it constitutes important progress in firstly reconfiguring, changing the way government works, uh, uh, pooling resources of all departments to be effective in communicating to the public and so on. Of course, people will be in many neighborhoods angry that things they took for granted they can't do anymore in the same old way. We can't gather. We are very familiar as people of South Africa. We like to gather in our numbers to have fun, sometimes for occasions of celebrating and or doing other important family and or community issues. We can't do so anymore globally. So that we must be aware that it's not only us, but it's part of the overall campaign for the safety of everybody, and especially the weak and those who do not have the strength and capacity, both of health and of finance, to cope with the difficulties that are visited on us by the current crises that we are confronting as a country.
Yes, and just finally for you, sir, are you more relaxed with this year's Sona? And obviously, it's going to be a bit of a subdued event, but also at the same time, we've seen over the years points of order all along. Honorable members, points of order. Are you in a more relaxed frame of mind this time around?
I wish I can be. I've learned over time to be vigilant, because just when you think you should be relaxed, some things happen that you wouldn't believe people would still want to do. Even when we appeal to them regularly every time that, hey, today is a one item agenda. Let's listen to the president, because the country and the people really want to hear what's happening so that they can then engage with those issues once he has presented them. So Parliament and its members of Parliament can sometimes be out of order, as you often observe, and so we have to be constantly vigilant. We hope that they'll see the reason to afford today's event As I said, it's a very somber and sad affair. Many families are looking up to the state to take steps to ease their lives. And so the message that the president will be given will be intended to produce that information. And so we hope that members today will accord us the decorum to allow the president to do that without unnecessary interruptions.
Well, the Honorable Lechesa Tsenoli, I must say thank you very much for that and for your time with us this morning on Salaamedia, talking to us before such an important event that is about to take place. We wish you all the best. We wish you safety for you, your family, and for everybody else. Please take care.
Thank you very much, and you take care and stay safe as well. Thank you.
Mr. Lechesa Tsenoli, Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, with us this morning ahead of SONA 2021.